Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome back for another patron portrait live stream. How's everybody doing today? My goodness, the lighting situation is so much better. We're recording in a different room today because last time I was just really not happy with the lighting situation. There was a lot of glare happening and I could barely see the drawing half the time, so I'm really pleased that it actually turned out as well as it did because I couldn't see. I was drawing blind, so today we're going to be drawing in a different room, and yeah, much happier with the lighting situation in here. Let me know that you guys can hear me, that you can see me. Well, you can't see me, but you can hear me. Let me know if you can see the feed, that's what I meant. Let me know if you can see Audrey. How about that? I'm so excited to be drawing her today. It's gonna be, couldn't be much more different than the drawing we did last week. There's a very different approach between drawing rugged cowboys and delicate flowers like Audrey Hepburn. You gotta have a much more delicate hand when drawing people like her, or if you just go a bit too heavy-handed, what am I trying to say? Less is more. That's what I'm trying to say. Less is more when you're drawing people like Audrey Hepburn. So that's what we're going to be given a shot today, because I definitely tend to be very heavy-handed. So sometimes drawing like this can be much more challenging, actually. When you have to do less is more, you have to know how to do just enough in the right places, but not too much in other places. So we're just gonna jump right in here. We're gonna get started. I mean, the clock is ticking, man. I learned last week, I learned my lesson. Do not waste any time, because that 2 hours is gonna fly by. And then I'm gonna be rushing at the end, trying to get the drawing done, trying to get it just right. We're going light today, guys. We are going with a 2H pencil right now. The light touch today. Happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you've had a good week so far. We're almost to Friday. TGIF. Sorry I had to postpone the live stream again. I don't know what the odds were of this happening, but last week I had a hair appointment at the exact time I was going to live stream, and both of these things kind of came up at the last minute. And then yesterday I had a dentist appointment. I was just like, oh my gosh, why does this keep happening on a Wednesday? So anyway, hello, Michael. I'm very happy to be drawing Audrey Hepburn. I love her. She's one of my favorites. One of my new favorites, I should say. I had never experienced one of her movies until Wait Until Dark, I believe, was the first one I watched back in October. And then I watched Roman Holiday for Valentine's Day in February. So guess I've only seen a couple of her movies, but I've really enjoyed her already. So I'm looking forward to watching many, many more of her movies on the channel. Sorry, I just realized the angle on her chin is just too sharp. too sharp. Gotta round that out. There we go. I hope you guys can see much better today than you could last week. I was just, again, not happy with the lighting situation last week and the angle of everything. I just didn't really have the room that I needed to set up the camera and the light where I really needed it. So actually, where I am right now has such great windows that I'm not even using a light. We've got natural light. We've got sunlight today. So cool thing that I woke up to this morning. I actually, by the way, if you're not following me on Instagram, be sure to do that because that's where I post all of my art and all of those kinds of updates, my reels, and just, I mean, personal life stuff as well. If you just want to see more content, be sure to head over there. It's at Madison K. Thames. Anyway, I did a commission a few days ago for a dear friend of mine. She wanted me to draw, or paint, I should say, Jonathan Rumi as Jesus and the Chosen, which if you haven't seen that, fantastic show. But I did that, and Jonathan Rumi actually saw it. He liked and commented on it this morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Cool stuff happens over on Instagram, guys. Sure to head on over there. It just never gets old when someone who is an actor you enjoy, or an athlete, or anybody who you've painted or drawn, when they see your work and they really appreciate it, it just is so cool. It never gets old. Michael, I do both. I would say a pretty even mixture of both. I really love action poses, and I tend to paint more action poses, I feel like, than drawing them. And I tend to go more for still images more in drawing. I don't know why that is. I think it's because I feel like I can capture a sense of motion better with my paintings than I do with drawings. But I really like both. I love drawing a good still portrait like this one, and I really love, if you go check out like my rodeo art, especially on my Instagram or my website, MadisonThames.com, you'll see that I love doing action poses. So much fun just capturing animal athletes in action and cowboys in action. So much fun. But you are correct. Action images are definitely harder. I mean, just doing any composition that's full body as opposed to like a close-up portrait is harder. You have much more to draw or paint, much more anatomy to capture, a lot more. I mean, if you're drawing like a cowboy on a horse or a cowboy on a bull or something, you've got a whole nother creature to draw instead of just a person, and things get a lot more complicated. You have a lot more forms and shapes interacting with each other, and if you're painting, there's a lot of colors. and you got to figure out what you want to do with all of that. It's definitely a lot, there's a lot you can mess up, let's just put it that way. But a plus of painting that you do not have with drawing is that painting is a lot more forgiving. It's a lot easier a lot of times to fix a mistake in a painting than it is in a drawing. Drawing is not forgiving. If you make a line too dark and you mess up and you want to erase it sometimes, it just doesn't want to come out. And so that's why it's important to go in with a delicate hand, because sometimes you mess up. It's much easier to fix it if you made a lighter mark instead of a dark mark and you really pressed it hard into the paper. Your artistic experience is limited to crayons. You know what? That's okay. We all start somewhere. That's definitely where I started. That was my childhood. A lot of it was just me laying on the floor drawing with crayons. Or colored pencils or whatever, or markers, whatever I could get my hands on. That's okay, Michael. Art is not for everyone. Ooh, that was my elbow. We're okay. I'm hoping that in doing these live streams, I can get used to talking and drawing at the same time, because last time it was surprisingly difficult. You don't realize how much you focus on something until you're trying to do something else at the same time. And talking and drawing at the same time I was not used to. But I feel like this time around I'm already better at it than I was last time. Practice makes perfect. Or, as I prefer to say, practice makes progress. Tyrone, hello. Could you or have you done a portrait of yourself or family members, or is that difficult? I have not done self-portraits since college. That was the thing we had to do in college, and I was not a fan. I feel like there's no one harder to see objectively than yourself. So I was not a fan of it. So I haven't done it since college. I've drawn or I've painted my niece and my cousin's daughter. Let's see. Have drawn my brother and my sister-in-law one time. That was a few years ago. So yes, I have drawn family members. It is difficult. The more you know someone, the harder it is to paint or draw them objectively, is what I would say. The less you know a person, someone like an actor, for example, it's much easier to see them objectively and get the features right. I don't know what it is, just like when you know someone and you're around them all the time, it just, I don't know, it's harder. Maybe not so for all artists, but it is for me. So I don't know if you guys have noticed it yet. Maybe I shouldn't point it out, but I did not notice until I laid out this drawing that there's the most inconveniently placed little speck on the paper. It's right here on her nose, and it's just driving me crazy because it's like, man, it shouldn't be there, but what can you do? When you work on toned paper, there's just little specks and little flaws in them. Flaw is not the right word, it's just texture, but sometimes it can be really inconveniently placed, and you're like, dang it, but what can you do? It's always so exciting for me drawing someone new for the first time. A new challenge. And then it's cool when you revisit people you've already drawn, seeing the progress. When you draw them multiple times, you can see the difference in each portrait and the little improvements that happen. It's really exciting. I'm gonna try, if this footage turns out much better than last week's footage, I'm gonna try to edit this and do a time lapse too, so that people can see a short version. There won't be any of me talking, obviously, but I was thinking it might be cool to do short, like minute-long time-lapse videos of these, so you can see the drawing process sped up. True, Tyrone. We don't want it to look fake. I've seen so many things on Instagram lately, like pictures taken by photographers, and Instagram is labeling it as AI. And I know it's not AI because I know the photographer. And I'm like, that is not AI. They took that photo and then Instagram labels it as AI. So now there's this weird thing happening now where Instagram and probably other social media platforms are labeling content as AI that's not. And so that's another issue that's happening where it's like, okay, so we're going to label content that's not AI as AI and confuse everybody. Luckily, that has not happened to me yet, and I hope it doesn't, because that'll make me mad. So let's talk about teeth, shall we? Drawing someone who is smiling as opposed to just, mouth closed, no expression, or just serious expression, that is much easier to draw than somebody who is smiling. And the reason for that is teeth. May not know this unless you've tried it, but drawing teeth is, or can be a nightmarish experience. I feel like I've finally gotten to where I've improved on my teeth, because for a while, yikes. And again, the principle with teeth is less is more. Don't just draw a straight line down between every tooth, or it's just gonna not look real. Because like when we're looking at someone in person, like, do you really register every line between their teeth, or are you studying that? No, you just kind of get a general impression. And that's kind of just a rule with drawing in general, is like, don't hyper focus on every little thing, because like when you're looking at someone in person, you don't see it that way. Like, try to draw it more as you see the person than sometimes as the photograph captures them. Because as we all know, the camera can focus on things and it's like, that doesn't look that bad in real life, or that is kind of exaggerated in the photo. So try to just I try to leave the impression of the teeth and the general positioning, but not over detailing it, because then it can just look strange in drawing form. My gosh, you guys, I want to just like cry with joy with how much better I can see this drawing today. Like, it was stressing me out last time how I could not see. When I was working on Stumpy, it was glaring so bad, and I was like drawing half blind during that stream. It's like, man, I hope this turns out good. And then it was like when I took it in a different room and I could actually see it afterwards, I was like, oh my gosh, it actually turned out really nice. But oh my goodness. It's one of those moments where you're like, man, that could have been a disaster. Thank goodness it wasn't. And two, that's when you're like, thank goodness muscle memory came in, because there is definitely a muscle memory when it comes to drawing, where you just get to a point where you've done it so much you kind of do it on instinct without thinking about it. So I try to remember, like, when I'm doing these, to tell you guys what I'm doing sometimes and how I'm doing it, because I've kind of gotten used to not really thinking about it and just kind of doing it. But with you guys here, people to talk to, people to tell how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it that way. Another thing is, less is more with lips too. Same principle. And I'm telling myself that too, because I still can tend to want to overwork things and just do too much with it, go too dark, too heavy, and same with lips and with teeth. You want to do less is more. It's kind of hard when you're doing a quicker sketch portrait like this to really just take your time and get the smoothness you want to get, but I'm gonna try. I have heard that, Michael. Wasn't she like kind of a spy against the Germans, against the Nazis? Oh yeah, I see you said she was active in the resistance, yes. Audrey Hepburn was a boss, I mean, what can we say? I did not know she loved ballet, though. That seems fitting for her. I can see that. Tyrone, no, I would never be an animator. I don't have the patience for that, especially not like the old school way of animating, like with the 2D drawings they used to do, which are gorgeous, and I actually prefer that as opposed to today's 3D animated movies. I mean, not that I have anything against them. I just prefer the 2D animated movies of my childhood, like, you know, Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and all that kind of stuff. I just feel like there's nothing of that kind of quality coming out today, and it's really sad. But I like movies like Frozen and Tangled and that kind of stuff. It's just not on the same level for me as the animated movies of my childhood. Anyway, all that to say, no, I do not have the patience for that. For the 2D animation, or I don't know enough to be a 3D animator, like, that's too technical for me. I sort of thought about getting into it back in the day, and then I was like, no. When I realized how complicated it was, I was like, I do not have the mathematical brain for this. Not even mathematical, but just like thinking in 3D has never been a strength of mine. I've always preferred the 2D arts, painting, drawing, that kind of stuff. And I took 3D classes in college, so I had to learn sculpture and ceramics. but it was never my strength, having to think about an object from every angle instead of just like a flat plane. I don't know, my brain just did not work that way. So I was pretty much a disaster in ceramics class. I tried to make like cups and stuff is what we had to do, and I could not make them like what's the word I'm looking for? I couldn't make them correct. Like they would sit crooked and they were not the same all the way around. Like they were lopsided. Lopsided cups, lopsided everything. It was like I don't know. I couldn't make it geometrically aligned. It was a disaster. I was a little bit better when we got away from making cups and stuff and pots and we started just being able to sculpt whatever we wanted. That was a lot better for me. Like the first chance I got, I sculpted a dragon. I don't know why, that's me. It's like, don't make me make a cup, but I will make a dragon. I mean, you would think that a dragon would be much harder than making a cup or a pot, but it's really not, because organic shapes are my strength. I do not have an architecture brain. I would never have made it in architecture either, because everything has to be just so. And I've always just preferred organic shapes as opposed to straight lines. Like, it always just gets under my skin when people are like, oh, I can't even draw a straight line. And I'm like, well, neither can I. They're like, I can't even draw a stick figure. Like, well, to tell you the truth, drawing straight lines is the hardest thing to do. Or drawing a circle. Like, you can't, I shouldn't say you can't. It's very hard to do it perfectly without any kind of assistance. You gotta have like a ruler or, oh, I can't remember what those things are called that draw a perfect circle, but those things, yeah, I mean, doing that kind of stuff is much harder than drawing organic shapes, at least for me. And some people will just like whip out these amazing architectural drawings and they'll do stuff just like from their head sometimes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? Like that's an artistic talent that I do not have. I would have failed architecture. Anyway, the dragon turned out pretty cool. That was my favorite sculpture I made in college. I had to do a bunch of weird sculptures in another class that was not ceramics, and those turned out all right. Like one time I sculpted a phoenix out of wood, and that was really hard. It turned out okay, I guess, but ugh, looked like some, I don't know, it was very rudimentary, I'll say that. Sculpting was just not my strength. One time I had to make a sculpture out of cardboard. I was like, why are we having to do this? But that didn't turn out too well either. It was required to get the art degree to do those 3D classes. Otherwise, I probably would have just passed on that. Because I love watching people work in 3D, people who are really good at it, but me, myself, trying to work in it, disaster. It's just a reminder, guys, like, you can be really good at something, but, like, everyone has a weakness. You can be a master of one type of art and then not at all able to do another kind of art. Oh yeah, Michael, it's incredible the animation Disney did back in the day. Those animators worked so hard to create just amazing films, amazing works of art, really. The hours of drawing frame by frame and then having to maintain some kind of consistency with the characters and how they looked and the environments is just crazy. I don't know how they did it. I think I would lose my mind. Again, like the meticulousness of that, and having to draw it over and over and over. I have an incredible respect for those people who can do that. Draw Madison riding a dragon as a new dragon rider for House of Dragons. Well, oh, do you mean the House of the Dragon? I haven't watched that show, but I know of it, of course, because of Game of Thrones and all that jazz. Never watched Game of Thrones, but, you know, if you're not living under a rock, you've heard of it. I do love dragons. I really, really do. Lifelong fantasy fan here, so I have a soft spot for dragons. Always thought they were so cool. If there's any Skyrim fans watching, that was the dragon I made in sculpture, or not sculpture class, ceramics class, when we were doing the sculptures. I sculpted Parthenax. If you remember that dragon from Skyrim, that's who it was. Yes, I am a geek, thank you. Oh, she's starting to look really nice. She's so pretty. What I want to do here. We need to have like a drawing club where you guys are drawing with me while I'm drawing, and then we all show our drawings at the end. It'd be fun. No shame, no expertise required. Just we all draw together and we post our pictures at the end. Or we could all even draw the same thing. If y'all wanted to draw what I was drawing, or you could draw something totally different. That's an idea. Drawing club. Sorry if I'm leaning into frame too much, guys. I'm trying not to. I catch myself leaning in so close to my drawings. Habit. It's not even that I can see any better, it's just like I get so focused. I'm seeing 20/20 right now because I've got my contacts in, but fun fact, without contacts or glasses, I am blind as a bat. I am as nearsighted as it comes. I love these little tortillas. They're so nice for blending. Make life easier. And these little erasers, they're the best. Hydrate break. I forgot my water last time, like the whole stream. So I'm gonna try to be better about that today. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael. Yeah, it's true. My dad had to wear contacts back in the day, and they were like called hard contact lenses back then. And I am so glad that by the time I came around and was having to wear contacts, they were much more comfortable. Although what's crazy is the improvements just in the last 10 years, or less, really. Like every time it seems like I go in for a yearly eye appointment, they're phasing out a contact and they're bringing in a new one. Like all the time I'm having to change to a new kind because they phase out whatever I'm using. And then I have to switch again, which was frustrating at first, but then I was glad because I used to think that what I had was comfortable. And then, like used to, the more the day, you know, the later the day got, more at night, like my eyes would start to dry out and my contacts would really start bothering me. But now, like with the last couple of contacts I've had, like the ones I have now, the type I had before that, like it was in those last couple of iterations that they did something to where like I can even wear them at night now without them bothering me very much. Like it's amazing. They keep getting more and more comfortable, even though they made them bigger, which I was concerned about at first because they made them bigger than they used to be. And I was like, no, but they were so small and, you know, didn't get in the way too much. They weren't too hard to put on. They weren't too big. And so I was concerned about them making them bigger, but it was worth it because they're bigger, but they're more comfortable somehow. So now it's like when I'm wearing them pretty much all the time, I don't even feel them. It's crazy. I don't even know they're there. Unless you get the tiniest speck on it somehow, like before you put it in. Oh, buddy. You get a tiniest speck of anything on your contact before you put it in, and then you put it on your eyeball. Oh man, it's like someone is stabbing you in the eye with knives. And you're like frantically trying to get it out. It's horrible. Anyway, long story short, contacts are much better now and much less noticeable in terms of like wearing them and drying out during the day and stuff like that. Can actually wear them until nighttime now without them bothering me. It's pretty awesome. I guess they changed something to make them stay moist longer. I guess it only makes sense that the science on that will keep getting better and improving. Oh my goodness, Michael, he wouldn't let you wear contacts? What? I didn't start wearing contacts until high school. I think it was maybe freshman year was when I first got contacts. Before that, I only wore glasses, but I was doing high school sports, basketball and volleyball, and I was like, I do not want to play sports with glasses on. They get in the way, they fog up, like, people can hit you and knock them off. Like, it just, no. So, um, and I just liked how I looked better without glasses, so I finally went in and got them, but it was not easy. Tyrone, I don't see how people get past sticking a finger in their eye. Yeah, it's not easy at first. I had a hard time with it. Like the first time I went in to get contacts and I had you like they make you put them in and take them out while you're sitting there. No pressure, right? You've got like 2 or 3 people sitting around staring at you and you've never done this before. It was kind of a traumatic experience for me, not gonna lie. It took me at least 30 minutes, maybe an hour to get them in and then back out and then in again. Like, it was terrible. They were getting so frustrated with me because I couldn't stop blinking. It's a natural reflex. You don't want to stick a finger in your eye because obviously, but I got the hang of it. I finally kind of figured out my little system for getting them in and out. And, people do it differently. Like, people take their contacts out different ways. I kind of pluck mine out. And some people like slide it off, which I cannot imagine doing, like sliding it. I'm sorry if I'm grossing people out right now. I can't imagine like sliding it down my eyeball and grabbing it. No. I don't know how people do it that way. I kind of just reach in and grab it off my eye. It's like the least invasive technique. But all that to say it's not easy. It takes some getting used to, which I finally did. And then I kind of had to get used to it again when my contacts were bigger. Kind of had to open my eye wider to be able to put it in and stuff. It was a little different. Oh, I see, Michael. I definitely got my eyesight struggles from my dad because my mom did not have to wear glasses until like now when she's much older. My brother got the good eyesight. He never had to wear contacts or glasses or anything. He's just now starting to wear glasses. He's in his mid-30s now. So he's kind of wearing them sometimes when he really needs to see something specific. But me, born blind. I think it was like 3rd grade when I started realizing like I can't see the chalkboard in class. And I was like, I gotta do something. I gotta get glasses. I can't see the chalkboard, so that's kind of a problem. Interesting, Michael. So it came from your dad's side, but his vision was fine. Yeah, so it must have been one of those recessive gene things where it skips a generation and then, lucky you, you get it. Hello, Christian Outlaw. Welcome. Oh, yeah. Well, we're all relating here in the chat today. Eyesight struggles. Yeah, for a while I considered getting LASIK surgery, but I just don't think I'm ever gonna do it. Like, the contacts are comfortable, they're not that much of a struggle. Like, it's a daily thing you have to do, but I don't know that I don't want to get surgery on my eyes. Too risky. I know that um I know there's a high chance you're gonna be fine, but like they're also lasering your eyeball, so like it can turn out fine most of the time, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if I want a permanent cut on my eyeballs that never heal, because I think that's my impression of how it works, is they make some kind of incision or something and that never really heals. I just don't like the idea of that. I think there's a different procedure now that they have that you can do instead of LASIK that's not they don't do the cut like on your eye, and it's different how they do it. I don't know, but anyway, I just don't think LASIK is for me. I think I'll just live with the contacts. The only way that would ever become a problem is if, like, you know, the apocalypse were to happen or something and we're living in a dystopian future where suddenly you can't access contacts, then I would be in trouble. Then it would have been more beneficial to get LASIK surgery. I guess if I'm ever in the apocalypse, I'll just be wearing my glasses. You need to draw some original anime manga characters because all the current ones look the same, just with different names. Tyrone, I wish I could help, but that's just not my style. I've always just skewed more towards drawing realistically as opposed to cartoon, although that is where I started. What I used to, when I talked about earlier how I used to just lay on the floor and draw for hours, I was usually drawing The Legend of Zelda, like, for a while. That was my focus. It was just like, I had the player's guides from the games, and I would just draw Link, Zelda, all the characters in the player's guides all the time. Huge Zelda fan. Have been since, like, I was 4 years old. So I drew in that style a lot when I was a kid because that was what I liked. Oh yeah, Christian, give it a shot. Give the new contacts a shot because it's amazing. Like, even as someone who wears them all the time, I noticed the change, and I was like, whoa, these are a lot more comfortable. No worries, B-dubs. Glad you can make it. You only missed half of it. You get the whole second half. Yeah, Christian. Ocarina of Time, one of the best games of all time. Hands down. Grew up playing that one, and Majora's Mask that was what I played all the time. Surprising maybe for a young child, but that's what I did. It scared the crap out of me, but I feel like it just made me a better person. I had to learn to face my fears at a very young age. If you're watching this and you have not played a Zelda game, Google it so you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's some creepy stuff in every Zelda game. But Majora's Mask, man, like, that one was dark. Dark. I've got so many Zelda stories, don't even get me started. Oh, I'm not B-dubs, believe me. Got a long way to go yet. But you're not alone. People say that to me all the time when I'm like working on a painting or something. They'll be like, "Oh, are you almost done?" Or, "Oh, is it done?" And on the inside, I'm screaming. Like, no, I'm not even halfway yet. I gotta say, she has been really fun to draw. You never know, like, how you're gonna like drawing somebody. Some are more fun than others, but I have really enjoyed drawing her. And she's got such a great expression in this picture, too. It's just like ray of sunshine. I loved Roman Holiday. That was such a great movie. Ripped my heart out at the end, but great movie. It was such a gutsy move. I'm not going to go into any details because I don't want to spoil anybody who might not have seen it, but gutsy move. This is why I love drawing on toned paper, you guys, because if you're drawing on white paper, you don't get to use white charcoal, which is like my best friend. It's just so cool, isn't it? Like, oh my gosh. The highlights. Can't do that on white paper because you're already working in white, so you can't go any brighter. No, B-dubs, we will not be adding any glitter today. No glitter. My niece comes over a lot and she loves to watch me draw and paint, and she'll always be like, "Aunt Maddie, are you not done yet? You're still working on that?" Like, so funny. Oh my goodness, B-dubs. I'm gonna have to do, yeah, like, when I've done a lot of these, I'm gonna have to do a funny one sometime of, like, using weird materials. Glitter. Sparkles. And see, like, how good of a sketch I can make with just random stuff. I'll have to have, like, not a poll, but, like, a thread where people can suggest random drawing materials. And, like, where people have to, like, vote on 3 or 4 drawing materials or something, and I have to make a drawing using only those materials. That would be kind of funny, actually. B-dubs, I was shocked at the ending. I really was, because of the times in particular. Like today, that would not shock me at all. With the way a lot of today's movies are made, they're very dark. Or just doing like a not predictable random ending. Like nothing shocks me now in modern movies, but like for the time, yeah, I feel like Roman Holiday's ending would have shocked a lot of people. And maybe made a lot of people mad, but I don't know. Stripes. Why did it have to be stripes? How do you feel being called Auntie? Well, I've been an aunt for 7 years now, so I'm used to it. It was kind of weird at first, but I like being the cool aunt. Ooh, I just looked at the clock. We have about 50 minutes remaining. I feel like I'm doing better than I was on the Stumpy drawing in terms of like moving along a little faster, but I kind of expected that, to be honest, because this picture of her is much more close up, and the one of Stumpy I had to like try to draw his hands and his arms and a harmonica and a chair. There was just a lot more going on. So it was easier. It's easier when it's just a face, pretty much, to move quicker. Although this little striped thingy is going to slow me down a bit. Neckerchief, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, it is B-dubs. Absolutely. I was not happy with the camera angle or the lighting or anything last time, so I was like, we're gonna fix that. We're gonna fix that this time. So the people can see, and so the artist can see. And also, I finally figured out how to stream horizontally this time, because last time it was like screwing me over, and it was like, no, you're gonna stream vertically, and I was like, what? I didn't realize I had to set that up before time, or ahead of time. I thought I could just start streaming and turn the phone, and it was like, nope, you have to select your orientation before you start streaming, and I was like, what? So anyway, I knew that this time. You live and learn. So I set it up correctly. Because obviously, streaming vertically is not preferable on YouTube, where the format is horizontal. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. Eventually, I'm going to be a professional streamer. I just have never live streamed a lot, so I'm learning. Going in with the black now, guys. Going in dark. And I will try to keep the squealy chalkboard, fingers on chalkboard noises to a minimum. I feel like I talk about what I don't like to draw a lot in terms of like ears and teeth and stuff, but I have always loved drawing hair. Probably because it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just fun. Fun and free. Does the art curriculum have a drafting component? Is it different than how architects or engineers are taught to draft? What exactly do you mean by drafting, Michael? Maybe me not knowing that answers your question. Using math to determine angles, using a vanishing point to achieve depth, stuff like that maybe. Yeah, I mean, we learned all about vanishing point and different composition types and stuff like that, but there was never any math involved. Compass, protractor. Oh, that's what I was trying to think of earlier when I was talking about the device that draws a circle. Yeah, I mean, of course you can use that stuff to draw. I never did. We weren't like forced to. What I learned to do in figure drawing class was how to measure, like how to hold my pencil out and look at angles. Like if I was looking at a reference image or a person, like, I don't know if you guys can see. Let me make sure you guys can see me in the frame here. Let me get my hand up here. Like holding it and then eyeballing it and looking at an angle and then kind of using your finger to see how long or short it is and that kind of stuff. I learned that in figure drawing class, but I mean, that's as measuring or mathematical as I got. Ooh, my Conte pencil is not sharp anymore. There we go. We were more working on like how to use different mediums like pencil, charcoal, all kinds of different stuff. Oh, well, that just happened. I just went to all that trouble to sharpen the Conte pencil and then it just, now I can't get it out. There we go. Then it just falls out on me. I sharpened it too much. But yeah, we were working on like learning all the different mediums, working with just all kinds of different stuff, and learning our art history, studying art history, different artists, different painters, and all of that stuff. There wasn't really a mathematical element to any of it. Well, shoot, guys, this Conte pencil is not cooperating. See how, like, I sharpened it, but it's like here, but not on this side? Darn it. Tragic. A tragedy. Maybe I can fix it at some point, but right now I'm on a deadline, so sometimes you have to use like a knife or something to fix the angle of a pencil sometimes. My teacher said it drawing is 80% seeing. You know what? I could go with that. I could roll with that. 20% translating what you see to a 2D surface, yes. If you don't see it correctly and you don't lay it out correctly, then there's going to be error. Because you can be the greatest drawer in the world, but if you put that eye in the wrong spot, or you put that nostril just a little too high, suddenly your drawing is, like, people are going to notice that something's off. It doesn't look like the person you're drawing, you know. So seeing it and making sure it actually looks like the person, everything's in the right place, that's the most important thing. Especially when you're drawing people. Because there's just so many things that can be a little bit off. I always think of Obi-Wan in Star Wars, like, your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them. So you have to check your eyes, because your eyes will lie to you. So you have to have some kind of surefire way to check yourself and make sure that you've got stuff in the right place. Because your eyes will definitely lie. She's looking so nice. I'm upset about my Conte pencil, but we're gonna make it work. That was my fault for over sharpening it and then probably pressing a little too hard. Told you guys I have a major tendency to go heavy-handed, so I always have to remind myself, like, lighten up, Madison. Lighten up or you'll break it. Poet William Blake's quote was, "See with, not through the eye." Interesting. So, like, use your eye to see as your tool of seeing, but don't just see through it. Kind of like see it, but don't trust it. Do I keep working on the hair, or do I go back to the little neckerchief down here? I can come back to the hair later. We gotta make sure all of this is done down here. Painting in black and white and drawing in black and white has always been my strong suit. I feel like have so much to learn about color, and my natural tendency was always to just work in black and white because I'm good at seeing values, but color is a whole nother ball game. And I feel like I'm just now getting to a point where, like, with my paintings, I can see colors really accurately. I used to kind of use Photoshop to take like color samples of what I was looking at to show me the color, to kind of help me see what color I was really looking at, because just looking at an image would deceive me. But I've actually gotten to where, just through practice, I can almost see the color, like my eye can see the color better than the computer can. And I actually don't rely on that as much. I don't really use it as much because I feel like the computer lies a little bit and it'll show me a color and I'm like, my eye can see that color better than the computer can. And it can detect little hues and shades that the computer doesn't really show me. So anyway, our eyes are pretty amazing. The subtleties that they can see. I found that actually sometimes it's okay to trust your eye, and my colors will come out much better than if I rely on like a computer to tell me what color it is. Color comes so naturally to a lot of people, and I really admire those people. I'm like, man, she's just like, she's got color down. Like, she just nails those backgrounds. And I've always really had to work at understanding and doing my colors and coordinating colors, because black and white's just always been much easier for me, and I've worked in it longer. It took me a while to even start really doing stuff in color. John Ford's first interest was drawing and painting. His incredible visual sense transferred to the camera. I did not know that. I learned something today. That is so cool. I love John Ford's movies. And he always sets up such nice shots, and now I know why. Because that is such a huge part of drawing and painting, is setting up the composition. What's gonna go where? What's your viewpoint? It all makes sense now. William Blake also said the road of excess leads to the palace of wisdom. That has no bearing on anything. Just one of my favorite moments from Bull Durham. I was gonna say, I don't feel like I would necessarily agree with that quote. But I don't have any context for it. I would need the context. Ford grew up in Maine, drawing the rocky seashore, and he treats Monument Valley in Utah like an ocean landscape. Awesome. Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, Madison, I had a lesson, taught me about seeing color in my oil painting class. Great revelation. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, being an artist is a lifelong journey. Every time you think you have something figured out, you're going to find out you actually don't, and you still have much to learn. It's a lifelong learning process, and that's what's really so fun about it, is you never have all the answers, and you're never, like, there's always room for more improvement. And if you're not learning, you're not improving, then you need to go, like, take a workshop from another artist or do some more research, like something. Whenever I plateau, I find a way to get better, like, because if I'm not getting better, I'm not doing my job as an artist. And, like, that's boring, right? Like, if you just plateau and you're never getting better, that's not interesting. You'll get bored doing what you're doing because everything will just look the same. I'm always trying to get better. And I recognize that I have a lot of room for improvement. I mean, we have access now on Instagram, especially, to seeing all the amazing artists out there. Like, yeah, if you ever start to feel arrogant or, like, I'm the best artist ever, go look at Instagram and you will be humbled. But it's also important to not compare yourself to all the other artists. There's a happy medium, because you are gonna fill a void that only you can fill. Like, you were created to make art the way you make it, and you know, people can have similar styles, like doing realism or doing abstract or whatever, but, like, there's a difference. There's just even if it's a tiny difference between everybody's styles, and everyone's unique. And so just because someone else is really good at doing portraits, or someone else is really good at doing Western landscapes or whatever, there's room for everyone, because I mean, the art buyers like different styles, and someone who likes your style might not like someone else's style, and if they like the other person's style, they might not like yours, and that's okay. Very often, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so, never quit doing art because you feel like there's not room for you in a certain, like, type of art or whatever. There is, trust me. I thought you might pick a Princess Anne scene in her full royal splendor. I like the more casual princess in this image. I do too. That's why I picked it. I did not want to draw her in the royal getup. I wanted to draw her as she really is. Because she always seemed so uncomfortable and unhappy in the princess scenes. Like, that wasn't what she wanted. She wanted to live as a normal person and go out and experience life, and so that's how I wanted to draw her. And she was happy. Getting into the home stretch, guys. It's amazing how quick this goes by. Drawing always goes by pretty fast for me, but especially when I'm talking, it just seems to fly by. I get carried away. It's funny, I knew going in that the shirt and the little neckerchief were going to be the part that I had to spend the most time on, which is ironic. Because obviously when you're doing a portrait, people are going to be looking at the face, but when you've got any kind of stripe or complicated pattern, you just gotta take your time. I like to keep my, like when I get down to their neck and shoulders, I like to keep it a little more simple because I don't want to distract from their face. So I try to keep it just a little bit sketchier and not quite so detailed and precise as the face. So I try to, it's hard to make myself do it because I'm very much a perfectionist when it comes to my art. I've had to really make myself loosen up over the years. But yeah, I try to keep it a little more simple down here. My professors were always telling me to loosen up, like make it more painterly. Like, I'm trying. Do you want to get everything just right? It's hard. And again, that's something that comes really naturally to other people, like just painting really loose. And I kind of had to make myself do that. Getting closer, guys. Trying really hard not to miss a stripe. I kind of loosely laid them out, and now I'm like, where's that stripe? Where's the... I'm to check myself here. I will have to let you guys know what becomes of the Conte pencil. I hope it's not the death of the Conte pencil. I have had this one for a while. You can see it's starting to get a little shorter, but it still had some life left. I was not ready to let it go just yet, but we'll see what I can do with it. I typically use my pencils and stuff until they start getting too short for me to hold properly, where it's kind of uncomfortable. Like, let me get this one out here. This is my HB. You can tell I've used it a lot. And so when it starts getting like right here and I can't really prop it right anymore, and it gets kind of uncomfortable, that's usually when I stop using them. Sad day. But, I mean, the good thing is they last a really long time for me, so don't have to replace them too often. I love this little bit of glossy sheen on the neckerchief. It's like it looks like it's silk or something. Of course it is. She's a princess. Ooh, we're down to 15 minutes. It's crunch time. I'm liking it, guys. Okay. See what little last minute stuff I can get in here. Gotta say, I'm pretty happy with how the smile turned out. As I said earlier, I'm not as experienced with drawing smiles and teeth as I am just serious expressions. I'm still trying to master that, so I'm pretty happy with how this one turned out. Trying to just add some last minute little highlights in here if I can. It's a little hard with how dark the Conte pencil is, but we try. It's a lot easier with charcoal to go back in and get out some highlights and or go over it with white charcoal, but wanted to use the Conte pencil on this one. Not quite so messy. kind of like the sketchier look, actually, on her hair in this one. Okay. Make sure I don't miss anything here. We're real close, guys. Almost there. Have I missed anything? I think I want to go a little darker on the jawline. I'm contemplating something a little risky, guys. Trying to decide if I'm going to do this little highlight over on the side of her face, but I'm scared. It's so last minute. You know what? I'm going to go for it. Life is for taking risks. I just really love how the sunlight is kind of silhouetting her over here, kind of hitting the side. I like it. It makes her pop just a little bit more. Ooh, I just realized I forgot something very important. The inside of this eyeball. That would have been disastrous. There we go. That's better. Much better. It's the little thing, guys, the little things. Want to try, let's see. Might give her some lashes. Glitter eyeshadow, glam her up like Bowie. No, B-dubs, no. We must show restraint. Just wait, B-dubs. One day we'll do a drawing with some glitter. I don't know how it will turn out. I can make no promises because I have never drawn with glitter, but we will give it a shot. I don't even know how I would do that. I guess there's like probably glitter sticks, like glitter pencils or something. Because if you just dump glitter, I guess you could do like, if you dumped a bunch of glitter on paper, you could like then remove the glitter to make the drawing, like do an outline in glitter. I don't know. Can you tell I know nothing about glitter? Okay, guys, I'm doing a last minute look over. Oh. I'm gonna do bottom eyelashes just a little bit. I don't want them to stick out too much. But she does have very nice eyelashes. We're gonna glam her up, as B-dubs said. Not too much, just a little bit. Okay, guys, did I forget anything else? Trying to make sure I did not miss anything. But I think we're good. Maybe just a little touch more here. This is how it usually goes, guys. I'm like, oh, I'm done. And then I'm like, oh, wait. And then I'm like, I'm done. Wait, hold on. Okay. We've hit 1 o'clock, guys. We made it. Another patron portrait in the books. Okay, so before I finish, we have to sign it. So that's how we're going to wrap up the stream today. VDubs, your niece has had glitter pens. Yes. All right, wait. Should I do my really light pen? I'm going to do maybe my 2H here. A delicate signature for a delicate drawing. And there we have it. Miss Audrey is complete. Hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I had a lot of fun with this one. A lot of fun with this drawing. Like I said, a huge change of pace from last week's drawing. Very, very different characters, very different style, but I had a lot of fun with this, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next week for... Oh, thank you, Christian. Thank you. I will see you guys next Wednesday, hopefully. Hopefully I won't have to postpone it to Thursday again, because these streams are supposed to be on Wednesdays. But I will hopefully see you guys next Wednesday for another patron portrait. See you guys later.